Welcome to Politics Unplugged. Ann Trujillo is off this week. I'm Nicole Brady. We start today at the state capitol. It took almost 11 hours of debate and comment this week, but a controversial bill to change the sex education rules in Colorado schools passed its first hurdle. This bill aims to make sex ed more inclusive for LGBTQ relationships, also taking away the abstinence-only approach to preventing STDs. It would also allow discussion about abortion and consent into classrooms. The bill is off to the Appropriations Committee now after getting the approval of the Health and Insurance Committee by a 7-4 vote. And keeping an eye on that bill and many others is our good friend Marianne Goodland, the chief legislative reporter for ColoradoPolitics.com. Welcome back, Marianne.
Thanks very much.
This was a madhouse at the Capitol for this bill. You said over 400 people signed up to talk about this. Not all of them got to, but that public comment went way into the night. Obviously, lots of opinions here. Tell us about covering that.
It was a madhouse. Not only did they use the largest committee hearing room in the Capitol for the actual hearing itself, but virtually every vacant room that they could find got turned into an overflow room. So those who weren't being called up to testify or just wanted to be there to hear it went and listened in these overflow committee rooms. We had there was a lot of emotion.
Yeah.
There was some fairly shocking testimony by those opposed to the bill, things that people said that I wouldn't expose my child to.
Interesting. You said it seemed that some of the people speaking, at least, didn't seem to understand the bill exactly.
That appeared to be true. The sex education, comprehensive sex education, has been in state law since 2013. It already outlaws abstinence-only education, but there was a loophole in the law that this bill is intended to close. In addition to adding things like teaching about consent and some of the other things that they want to add into the curriculum. This program is voluntary. Parents can opt their children out. The curriculum is age appropriate, which means that they're not teaching kindergartners about things that only a 15-year-old would understand, for example. And the program is also voluntary in that the schools don't have to offer it. And this is talking about our public schools now. But if they do offer sex education, it has to be this comprehensive sex education standard that is contained in the bill that passed this week.
And you said this is really just an update to a bill already.
That's correct.
So on the lawmakers' end of it, even though there's some mixed opinions out there, there is bipartisan support for this, and do you expect this will go through?
Absolutely. It's actually sponsored by a Republican in the state Senate. So I don't think there's much chance that this isn't going to pass, but I do believe that there's going to be a lot of opposition. There's a saying in these kinds of situations that the majority has its way and the minority has its say, and we saw that at an extreme, sort of an extreme version of that in the hearing this week.
Let's get to some of the other bills you're watching closely. You said once again gun control is back on the agenda.
It's actually gun rights bills, efforts by Republicans, and this is every year they try to run a series of bills, usually 3 bills. One that repeals a 2013 law that limits the size of ammunition magazines, another one to allow business owners and their employees to use deadly force when they think it's appropriate, and then the third is to allow school personnel to carry guns. All 3 of those bills came up in the House this week, and all 3 of them did what they do every year, which is to be defeated.
And anything from the other side on gun control up yet?
We haven't. We keep hearing that there is likely to be a red flag bill similar to what we had last year. Representative Tom Sullivan, whose son was a victim in the Aurora Theater shooting, has said he intends to run that bill, but it has not yet been introduced.
All right. You know, it's always fun to see some of the bills that we didn't even know that these issues were issues that come up during the legislative session.
One of them was a really interesting yellow light bill, and this bill would have allowed our traffic lights to cycle not only from green to yellow to red, but from red to yellow to green. And if you think about that and the habit that lots of people have on running yellow lights, this sounds like trouble.
Yes, it does.
And the sponsor of that bill, Representative Hugh McKean of Loveland, wisely pulled that bill this week.
Why did they want to introduce something like this?
This is something that is apparently common in Europe.
Okay.
And I'm not sure what the impetus was other than that it is done in other countries, but the way American drivers drive,
yeah,
probably not a good idea, and I've even heard that there may be some federal issues with that as well.
I see. What else?
We did have a really interesting bill this week to reimburse Jack Phillips,
yes,
the owner of the Masterpiece Cake Shop, who went through that Supreme Court fight and had a Supreme Court decision in his favor last year. There was a bill to reimburse him for his legal costs and the lost business. He claims he lost about 40% of his custom cake business as a result of the complaint with the Civil Rights Commission. Now, the sponsor of that bill, Dave Williams of Colorado Springs, the state representative, said that the bill was not intended to be just about Jack Phillips, but if you look at the fiscal analysis, they said there's only one person who actually benefits from this, and the cost at about $2.6 million.
Wow.
Almost all of that would go to Jack Phillips. So you can take that for whatever you want.
All right. Well, Marianne, thank you so much. We will certainly be touching base with you throughout this legislative session. It should be an interesting one, as always.
Oh, as always. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Stay with us. We'll be right back.